Hey guys, it's a rainy day here in southern Michigan, but it's getting late in the season and I know a lot of people asked about saving seeds, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the easiest way I found to save tomato seeds and get good germination results. So if you want to come on in, I'll show you the tomatoes. Now these are Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes, and that's a heirloom tomato that was grown right here in Redford, Michigan by a guy named Kellogg. And when you're saving seeds, the real key is that you want them to be good and ripe and even overripe. That way you know the seed is nice and mature. So we'll go ahead and pick these, even though they're kind of eaten up by the slugs and somewhat starting to rot, and we'll take them in and I'll show you how I save the seeds. Alright, so here's the two tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and rinse them off because they're kind of dirty and my hands are dirty. And there's a slug on the one, and this one's still got the stem on it. And all we're really going to do here is, this one's actually easy because you can see, if you come in close, you can see the pulp, and that's where all the seeds are, and that's what we want to get out. So just take and kind of cut them, and now you can really see the seeds and the pulp right there. That's what we want. So we'll just kind of try, and different tomatoes grow differently, so just kind of get the feel for it, and if you can cut those chambers just right, it makes it a little easier. But I'm not that familiar with these. These are a beefsteak. Now I just take like a cup of some sort and take and just scrape that pulp right in to the cup. Like right here is a nice big gob of pulp. Scrape that in there. Whoops. And sometimes it's easier just to do it with your hands. Just tear it open and scrape all that pulp with the seeds in it off into the cup. Alright, so I went ahead and scraped all the pulp and seeds into this cup. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some water. I'll go ahead and fill it up to within maybe an inch or two of the top. And we want to put water in there because that's going to make it easier to separate these seeds later on. And all we have to do now is take a piece of tin foil or something to cover it. Now we don't want to seal it because we want air to get in there, and we want the seeds to be able to ferment. And what it's going to do in there is going to rot, and it's going to stink a little, but with this tin foil over the top it shouldn't be too noticeable. And in a few days it'll be all rotted down and the good seeds will be on the bottom, and I'll show you how we separate them and save them for next season. And another thing is, now that we got these seeds in here, all we really need to do is let them sit and ferment for a few days, up to a week or even longer. And I read last year that you should stir this daily, and that might help, but I didn't do that, so I'm just going to show you the way I did it. And all I did is I took this and I set it on a shelf somewhere away from the sun, and in a week or so I came back and my seeds were ready to go. So that's the way we're going to do it this time. Alright guys, so it's been a week and 1 day, and we're going to go ahead and clean these fermented tomato seeds up, and it's going to stink. And if you want to take a look in there, there's going to be a lot of scuzz on the top, and that's all the bacteria and stuff that's getting the nastiness off of those seeds and cleaning them up for you. So if I remember correctly what I did, and I told you I wasn't going to stir these, but I actually did go yesterday and I stirred it up real good. I wanted to see how they were coming along. And it looked like they were about finished, so If you don't stir it, there will be a nice thick layer of scuzz on there, and you can almost just lift that out and pitch it. But what we're going to do now is just let those seeds settle again just for a few seconds. And we can pour this off. Let me get this tinfoil out of the way. You might see seeds on the top. If you want to come over here and take a closer look, there may be some seeds up on top and you'll see them spilling out, but don't worry about that, because the nice thing about this method of saving tomato seeds is you get rid of all the non-viable seeds, because the bad seeds will float and the good seeds will stay on the very bottom. So now that we've got most of that out, we'll just crank up the water. And again, just let it settle for a second so all the good seeds sink to the bottom. And just repeat, pour off the water with all the gunky bits of tomato and bacteria and bad seeds. And keep doing this until we're left with nothing but clear water and some nice viable seeds in the bottom. Alright, so we're getting close. I just poured off the water and you can see the seeds in the bottom there. So we're going to fill it back up. And I like to crank that water, that way it really stirs them up. You can kind of see them swirling around in there. And they'll all settle to the bottom. There's still a few little bits of old rotten tomato and stuff in there. And they settle really quick. Pour that off. And I don't worry if I lose a couple seeds, because like I said, the good seeds are going to be heavier, and it's kind of a good way to weed out the bad seeds. I did this last year, and when I germinated my tomato seeds this year, I must have had 100%, near 100% success, because it seemed like every single seed germinated. So now that we got them clean, just going to kind of try and hold them back there while I pour off that last bit of water. And we'll take them over here. And I just use one of those cheap paper plates. Just plop them out onto the plate and spread them out. And you don't have to have them completely perfect here, but a paper plate is nice that's not wax, because it's going to absorb that water. And what you'll have in a few days, these are going to dry out and they'll be stuck to the paper plate, and you can just take and, you know, use a fork or something, or your fingers, and just scrape them off into, I just use envelopes for mail, and label it with the year and the variety of tomato, and you've got seeds for next year. That's it. How to ferment tomato seeds for seed saving. I had a lot of people ask me it'd be cool if I would do some seed saving videos, and a lot of the seeds you just pick them off the plant, like radishes and sunflowers, let them dry out, and that's it. But with tomatoes and some other things, it's easier to ferment them. Like, I'll do the fermenting with my cucumber seeds, because you get rid of all that pulp and there's a little coating on the seed, and in nature that fruit is going to rot just like it does in the cup here, and that coating is going to get removed so that next season that plant can grow, because it's a little coating to protect that seed and kind of preserve it for the next season. So you can do this, I figured I'd mention, you can do the same process not just with tomatoes, but you can do it with cucumbers and melons and things of that nature. And that's what I'm doing right here. I got the muskmelon seeds from my only muskmelon that I got this year, and I'm going to go ahead and ferment those so they'll be ready to go next year too. Figured I'd just mention that. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all the kind of support.